Well, it was supposed to rain this morning and cool off. We got the advantage of no rain, and it cooled off anyways. Sun popped back out. It's a pretty nice day. So I thought I'd take you down here and show you the garden a little bit. It's been a while since I've showed you the garden. I find it kind of amazing how many times I say things in my videos, and I know a lot of people think, oh, you just repeat. But there are folks every day in the comment section, not just one or two, like, you know, a dozen, who seem to have missed all the times I say things. So I thought I'd show the garden again. Yeah, we grow a garden. That being said, we are on a carnivorous diet. I would say 80% of our diet, just estimating, is carnivorous. Now we've got 21 tomato plants, planning on using the tomatoes just for spaghetti sauce. Make homemade spaghetti sauce, or just can up the tomatoes. That's probably more likely what we'll do. And then Carolyn can make whatever she wants out of it. But being on a carnivorous diet, of course, you want to flavor up your meat. So we've been using tomatoes to make tomato sauce. And we call it spaghetti, although there's no spaghetti noodles in it because that's a lot of carbohydrates and that's sugar. I've talked about that a dozen million zillion times. So we'll just use this for flavoring. And there's not a lot of carbohydrates in tomatoes. It's more of a fruit, and we get a lot of vitamin C out of it. I looked this up the other day. I was really surprised. When you cook meat, meat has all the vitamins your body needs, all of them, except for vitamin C, because when you cook meat, it evaporates out. I looked up the other day, does cooked tomatoes have vitamin C in it? And it does. So I don't understand it. You know, I do know that scientists are lying to us about our diets. I mean, I absolutely know that now. The more I research a carnivorous diet, the more I realize doctors are telling you to eat sugar and then tell you to take insulin to counter the sugar instead of just saying don't eat the sugar. And what I mean by sugar is carbohydrates. I heard a doctor say that on YouTube that in order to survive you have to eat carbohydrates. Well, I don't, and I'm surviving just fine. I've never been healthier in my life. So that's why we're growing a garden. Now, we were going to grow a corn garden this year, but if corn has just a massive amount of carbohydrates, 20%, or grams. So we were going to use the rest of this garden for corn, but we decided not to this year. But we have figured out what we're going to do with it. We're going to grow sunflower seeds for the chickens because it has a lot of protein in it. And one of these people who think that it's bad to have cholesterol, I've talked about cholesterol, said yesterday, you can't have sunflower seeds in your give to your chickens because it has high omega-6, which is cholesterol basically, I guess. But I looked it up, and you're just going to be transferring that omega-6 your chickens to you. Well, good. That's what I want. This is the other portion of the garden here, a little raised garden Carolyn's been working on the last few years. This actually started out as our test garden the first 2 years. We got a stray tomato plant over here. It just popped up on its own, which is very odd because it has tomatoes on it. Isn't that something? So things are going well in the garden. I think Carolyn's very happy. We had a deer or something eat her cucumber plant, but it's recovering. I put a radio out here. I forgot to do that, but I put this radio out here. It's a little solar powered deal, and that kept the deer away. I got my trail cam hooked up to the bucket here just to make sure we're not getting any wildlife. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is the chickens and free ranging. I know I've said a million times we don't let our chickens free range because they will get destroyed by wildlife. Bald eagles specifically, they fly over all the time. We've seen bald eagles try to come and get our chickens when we were outside. The chickens were right here. Oh, that squealy thing. Ugh, I'm glad I got it turned down. But it still does that hypersonic sound. Oh, that hurts my ears. So we were standing right here. Chickens were all kind of right here next to us. Darn bald eagle started to come down. Frenchie made a squeal, and they all ran back inside real quick, fortunately. So bald eagles, they'll grab them almost instantly. People say, oh, just let them go and they'll come back at night. No, they won't come back at night. They'll be dead. And we'll lose all the eggs out in the woods. I want the eggs here. I know some people seem to think that I'm mistreating the animals by caging them up, but at least they'll be alive. They won't be alive. I mean, we've had bobcats here, dogs, fox, raccoons, all of them. I don't know how people are missing this. I know I say it all the time. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about these SHTF preppers. You know, the stuff hits the fan preppers. I've been trying to do this comparison about off-grid living versus the SHTF preppers. Before I get started, there are some preppers out there that I really like that aren't focused on the SHTF. They're focused on these small events. So a few years ago, Texas had a power outage in the wintertime. People died from it. And so these short-term preppers have a better plan, in my mind. If you're going to prep, it's got to be for these short-term situations. Well, Texas Power Company, now remember, I don't get news. The only news I get is from YouTube, so I don't know how reliable that is. But I heard through the grapevine that the power company in Texas has said they're going to do rolling blackouts, I guess through like 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. They want you to shut off your air conditioners and different things. And then they're going to ask the oil companies to shut down for a week. Well, that's devastating. That just raises the price of fuel even higher. Texas is where we get all our oil from, for gas. So this is bad. But if you watch these preppers who talk about these short-term things like power outage, they've got a pretty good plan. They'll tell you things like eat all your meat out of your freezer first, because the freezer will hold temperature for a little while. And so if you eat all the meat, leave all the carbohydrates on the shelf, and the noodles and all that, leave it behind. Just eat the meat. That way it doesn't go bad. That's a good plan. Plan what you're going to get out of the freezer. Open it once a day. I'm going to get the hamburger and the sausage. That's enough for the meals for today. You open it up, get it out, shut the freezer back up. So these are the short-term preppers. These are the ones that I agree with. When a prepper starts talking about SHTF, I'm going to save you from the world of, you know, whatever. They always got that grumbly voice, and they're always talking about how they're going to save you from the SHTF. Here's how you do it. You save up ammo in your stockpile, and stockpile for 3 years, 10 years. It's not going to work. If you're wanting to prepare for an SHTF, you have to learn how to be self-sufficient and minimize your life. I haven't mentioned this in years, maybe 2 years. The tiny house, I mean, I've mentioned the tiny house, but if you think about back in the early 1920s, the average size of the house was like 400 square feet. It wasn't that big. And families would live in that. And I forget all the specifics, but each person would have, you know, so many square feet. Well, now, I think it's like every person has 400 square feet available in their house. So if you're a 2-person family, you have 800 square feet. If you're 4-person, you have 1,600 square feet house. It's just really went up in size. So back when there was less electricity and less modern conveniences, people lived in smaller houses. So think about this. I got solar panels with 1,000 watts per hour, powering a almost 200 square foot house. By minimizing, I was able to live off solar panels. It's the only way to do it. You cannot get solar panels. I mean, you could, but it would be a fortune and they would never pay for themselves. But you would never be able to power a 1,600 square foot house or 2,000 square foot house with solar panels. You're going to have to minimize it. Now, we're talking about Texas. One of the things I think, if you're going to be an SHTF self-sustaining person, you got to get rid of the air conditioner. The air conditioner is a modern convenience that is absolutely not necessary, unless of course you got a medical condition. I hear that all the time in the comment section. I don't know what medical condition they have that you have to have an air conditioner, but I'll give you, if a doctor tells you, I mean, I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't tell you not to do that. I know that I would rather suffer with my medical condition, I don't care what it is, than have air conditioning. We had air conditioning in the camper when we parked it right here, and we ran it off the generator from like 2 to 4. But only because it was way out here in the middle of the sun. It's not insulated really well. I mean, it's got like that much styrofoam in the walls. It's not a lot. I built that. We had to have air conditioning. It was just way too hot in there. But up here, underneath the shade, oh, it just stays amazingly cool up here. It got up to 100 and I think 3 degrees the other day. Don't get me wrong, it was hot. And we sweated, but that's okay. You're supposed to sweat. We have a little fan that blows on us. Well, I let the fan blow on Carolyn more than me. It's because she gets hotter than I do. So that's SHTF type of prepping, type of self-sustaining lifestyle. You got to start thinking in terms of how can I prepare myself, not my stockpiles, myself. What is it that I need in life? Well, I got to have heat. More people die from cold than they do from the heat. With heat, if you stay in the shade, drink plenty of water, don't overexert yourself, you can stay cool enough, with a fan. But in the cold, there's no way you can stay warm enough. You start sweating for some reason, you're going to get hypothermia pretty quick. It's hard. I mean, the people say, oh, I can always put on more clothes and I can take off. You don't have to take clothes off. You just got to have a little breeze. Get yourself some firewood. It's cheap, especially if you do it the way we do it. We get free firewood. Anytime somebody's cut down a tree in their backyard, they'll post it on this is like Facebook Marketplace. Free firewood, come and get it. And so you go over there. Sometimes it's cut up, sometimes it's not. It's never split. And we have 15 years worth of firewood now. So I hope I can inspire you to live self-sustaining so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.